can help end poverty for good.
Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Okay, question of the day. What do UFOs, ghosts, breathwork, and psychedelics have in common? Find out at the Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through 3rd in Wisconsin, the Midwest premier event all about consciousness, life's mysteries, and all the stuff that blows your mind. 4 stages alive at the same time with world-class experts and tons of hands-on experiences. Hosted by Jimmy Church, you'll be doing UFO Skywatches with Chris Bledsoe, workshops with Dr. Diane Hennessy, Lidu and Dahlia from the Telepathy Tapes, a group quantum hypnosis by Sarah Bressman Cosme. You'll learn telekinesis, telepathy, dowsing rods, plus God helmet experiences, a real live seance, and live performances galore. Whether you're brand new to this world or knee-deep in the rabbit hole, this is the place to explore the unseen, the unexplained, and the undeniable at the Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through 3rd. Curious? Learn more at contactmodalitiesxpo.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 35, then Tuesday, sunshine with a high of 56. There's something for everybody at Cafe Latte in St. Paul, from award-winning soup, salad, sandwiches, and desserts to treats from the bakery made fresh daily and a pizza and wine bar. Cafe Latte is located on the corner of Grand Avenue and Victoria Street. Check them out at cafelatte.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining us tonight as we are wrapping up March here pretty quickly. Let's just get right to it. I mean, this is an interview that we've been trying to get on the books now for a month at least, and we had to reschedule because I was sick. Then we had to reschedule because Suzanne was sick, and then we had to reschedule because I was sick. So the fact that both of us are here in relative health at the moment is actually, incredible. And I'm really, it's just for a little bit, I was actually starting to wonder if we're not meant to talk about this subject and not meant to talk about the book, and that's the way we all think sometimes, is that we are, if you get enough signs, you're just like, forget it. I'm not going to talk about it. But no, we're talking about it. And I'm really excited about it tonight because I've known our author guest tonight, Suzanne Worthley, for a very long time. And, and I think she'll appreciate when I say that Suzanne is very different. You're going to not run into people thinking the way that she thinks and experience the stuff that she experienced, but she allows people in to understand what she's talking about and what she's writing about. She's an energy practitioner. She has taught so many people so many different things over the years, and it's so enlightening talking with her because there's so many concepts that you may not understand at the moment, but if you ask her about it, she'll explain it and break it down even more, or you might just pick up on it after thinking about it for a while. There's a lot of great stuff there. And tonight we are talking about her latest book that just came out. Secrets of a Starseed, A Galactic Journey in a Human Body. The title alone, I think, will give us an hour of just conversation because there's so much to talk about here. But this book came out not too long ago, and unbeknownst to me, as we're getting ready for the show, Suzanne said that this is her first interview about the book. So luckily, no pressure for me tonight. But here we go. It's going to be great. And I'm really excited as we get into this. Suzanne, welcome to GhostBox Radio.
Thank you. So good to be back. And I'm so glad we're both healthy. For a while there, I thought we were like virally texting germs or something. So it was kind of freaking me out for a little bit. And then I too did the, oh my God, are we not supposed to be talking about this book? But I was determined to push through that. So thank you. Thank you for having me. And it's true. I have not interviewed with anyone. I really feel comfortable. I'm not dry running this by any means with you, but I mean, the first round on something so personal and so vulnerable, I'm really, really honored to have you hold that space for me. So I appreciate you having me.
Well, and I appreciate that too. And there's a lot that we're going to talk about tonight, and we may not get to a lot of stuff that we want to talk about. So we may need to get Suzanne back. And I'm just going to say that right now, because I think that what this book is actually going to be very important to a lot of people, because I think there's going to be people who are going to need this book and read it. And I want to start off, once again, the book is called Secrets of a Starseed, A Galactic Journey in a Human Body. I want to start the most basic level, though, because I don't know about you, but I feel like even in the realm I am with paranormal and stuff, I'll throw words around and concepts around and forget that maybe not everyone understands everything. Yeah. Let's just start with, what is a starseed?
Yeah, and I start the book that way too, because you're right. A lot of people, especially in the world of metaphysics or UFOlogy or paranormal, they throw a lot of words around. And that happened with my empath book, which you also had me on for. Yep. They throw empath around like, oh, I'm an empath. And that's a really distinct thing. So when it comes to a starseed, a lot of people toss that around very lightly also. In my opinion, and anything that I say, take what resonates and toss what doesn't, obviously. But in my opinion, in my experience, a starseed means that you have had more, what we would call maybe incarnations on other planetary systems other than Earth itself, and not in per se a human incarnation form. So oftentimes a starseed will think that they have been many, many, many lifetimes maybe, but in just different, dimensions, multi-dimensions, planetary systems, solar systems, etc., and in different bodily forms. Hence why it's difficult for that starseed to be human feeling on the Earth planet. It's a very distinct feeling of misplaced.
Do you think that is then how you know that you're a starseed, because of that feeling right there?
Once you start to hear some of the characteristics of a starseed, you'll start to go, oh yeah. Or oftentimes also, this has happened at some of my events, I'll call out like, oh, your daughter is a starseed, and they don't know what that means. And I start to give some descriptions, and the parent is going, oh yeah. So they're distinct characteristics that sound very familiar to the starseed, whether they know that name of a starseed or not. The characteristics are very familiar.
Is it almost like in a sense, maybe like, I don't want to get too like crazy with it, but like almost like a secret code amongst starseeds, kind of a way to kind of recognize each other in a sense, that you are recognizing?
For me, no, that wasn't
some
the
of
case
that.
at all.
Lack of like not feeling part of Earth, I guess.
More that. I think for me, there was never this need to go find another starseed. In fact, I never even knew what it was until I was much, much older. I knew the characteristics, I knew the mission, I knew all the stuff as a child, but I didn't know what that meant. And I didn't know anything until much, much older. Even when I figured things out, I had no need to go find another, really. But I think what it does is it gives you a better context for why you have never felt comfortable here.
What are some, if you can, some characteristics? I can't imagine, because I can imagine there's a lot of people listening right now, and they're just like, well, I always kind of felt awkward in high school and never was asked to a dance. Maybe I'm a starseed. but it's,
Yeah.
there's so much more to it than that, right?
A lot more. So I'll give you just a quickie rundown. A lot of times you have very much a belief that you feel like you belong here, but you really don't. You have a yearning for home other than your home. And granted, I grew up in a beautiful, very loving home on this planet with wonderful parents and family, but there is this need to go home, and you can't explain that. You stare at the stars a lot. You feel very different, even amongst all of those that you are comfortable with. You feel like you see things differently. You react to things differently. You have fascination with things like healing modalities and the stars and spirituality itself. You get they're very similar to empath qualities, by the way. You get super angst filled with violent shows, lots of crowds, lots of noise, overextension, overexertions. You have a lot of vivid dreams, which in my opinion aren't always dreams, of astral traveling, flying, going to other dimensions. You have many feelings of I'm attracted to ancient sites. I'm attracted to symbols. And the biggest thing is I know something. I just can't remember what I don't remember. I know something. What is it that I can't remember? And this was the driving force for me. A lot of starseeds and empaths will go into the healing modalities. They will be, Reiki people, quantum healers, whatever. It's just you go through many feelings of deep isolation, even though you're probably the big one in the crowd. I would never be called an introvert, but I was very lonely in a lot of cases because I still knew that there was something that just the puzzle pieces weren't fitting and it never made any sense. So those are just some of them.
And not to get dark here, I hear a lot that there's people in their lives who have always said that they've never felt like they belonged. And have you ever heard of like any starseeds that have misinterpreted that as, instead of being like a starseed per se, but being that they take that for loneliness and then a depression?
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And again, this is why I do the work that I do as an energy practitioner and healer, is that I have a tendency to have many starseeds end up in my office. And they don't even maybe know that word or that description. And as I progressively go through things, they're like, oh my gosh, that's me. Oh my gosh, that's me. So you always are looking at the world differently. Starseeds are also seen as very almost blunt and crass. And it's not that we're blunt or crass. It's just that we literally know boundaries so much differently. And we just don't care a whole lot about things. And that doesn't mean I don't care in a nasty way. We understand the boundary of I don't get to care to change you, fix you, make this different. We honor where things are at a lot of times, and we can come across as uncompassionate, and it's exactly the opposite.
Well, and I can't imagine anyone ever thought that you were blunt. So, I mean...
I knew that was not going to get by you easily.
No, of course. I didn't want to, but I didn't say crass. I just said blunt. So I'm curious about something, because I want to talk a little bit very quickly about, like, say, past lives. I've heard people talk about doing past life regression and some of the visions that they have about their past lives, find them not on the earth, but being not even human, being some sort of different sort of entity that they can't necessarily describe. Would that only be for someone who's a starseed that would be able to see going back and seeing those lives?
I can't say that for positive. I can imagine that there are people that have probably peeked into past lives that maybe were or were not on this planet, but the starseed only has those. Like, I don't have any resonance to, I was in the cowboy era. I was a Native American or a, Hopi Indian, or I got nothing of that stuff. And so I think the starseed has a lot of not that at all, nothing, no anything. But I can't imagine that somebody that's had lifetimes on this planet maybe hasn't had maybe a Palladian lifetime and a Arcturian lifetime, and they have memory of that. So I can't say in that regard that it's all or nothing.
It's very interesting, isn't it? And I mean, have you ever had or tried a past life regression or had any interest?
Yeah, I mean, I have, but mine always go to, like I write in the book, mine always go to another planetary system where I'm a whole different being. And those can be, I write in the book on how difficult that was for me to actually find my really big self in these other planetary lifetimes, it was very, very difficult for me to come back into this human body. And I had no help. I mean, there wasn't a person like me when I was doing this journeying. I did all of this on my own. And so to go out there and really come face to face and integrate with who you are in another starseed system in a completely different alien body, and then come back into this body and go, what in the heck is that about? It's very, very, very disturbing, and it's very uncomfortable to integrate all of that. So I don't do a ton of past lives because I've had some really tough stuff.
I mean, I can imagine. Is there like a plan for a starseed opposed to, is it more than just living different lives, or is there something more to it?
In my case, and I can only speak for myself, but I think this is generally probably more common for the starseed. The starseed comes back with more, and this isn't about value. Be very clear here. This doesn't mean you're cooler or better when you're a starseed. In fact, it means you do a lot more work in a lot of difficult ways. So it isn't about being cooler or better. It's about service. And the starseed comes back to this planetary system because they're aware of some of the things that need to be fixed. And in my case, I knew since childhood that I was here on quote unquote mission. I heard that distinctly as a child. And there are many, many starseeds that know that they're here on what we would quote mission work. And some of them understand that fully, and some of them don't have an idea of what that is. Some people grow into that mission. Some people walk away from the mission. I mean, it's all over the board, but mine was extremely clear when I was 6 years old, all the way up and through, high school age, of understanding that I had a job to do. And I was doing it because I was a starseed and knew the infrastructure of the holographic work where I would be working, because that's where I came from. So it's like you knew where the bodies were buried, if you want to say it that way, and they bring you back to this planet to uncover the mess and fix it. So in my case, it was very distinct mission is why I was here.
But you kind of mentioned too that it's possible that some, because of free will, they may not take the mission.
Totally. Yeah. And free will is a big part of that. Remember, we are a very unique species, and not every species has free will. And a lot of people, sadly, don't necessarily have the activation process that I had. And I self-activated. I activated with help and assistance this way. And if you don't have that connection and you don't have activation this way from like a healer or a worker like I am to help you activate, a lot of those things will lie dormant in a starseed, and they'll just go through life, like you said, thinking they're depressed and frustrated. And that's a sad existence, right?
It's a very sad existence. And I'm sorry, you said your activation came from
this way.
Meaning
I was told at 8 years old, you're here on mission, we'll activate you when ready. And I knew exactly that was fine. And then my so-called activation came like I got hit by a Mack truck in my late 30s. And I write that in the book. It was literally like I walked out the back door and my entire life was different. And that's when it started. And so that doesn't happen to everybody.
And I guess that's what I'm trying to get to, is trying to understand. I understand the free will part of it. That's not. What it would surprise me that not everyone gets that activation. Yourself, makes a big part of having that happen. Then
I think so, and I also, Greg, think it has to do with the mission. My mission was one of the more earlier missions to make this ascension process work. My mission and the work that I did was in the holographic grid systems, or the infrastructure of our creational reality. And until those people, and I'm sure I'm not the only one out there, although I've never met another me, but I'm sure there's more starseeds that were working on this holographic infrastructure. That had to be done first before other like starseeds can get activated to do other work of pieces of the puzzle. But I was like one of the first, what we would call waves. That was one of the initial ones that came in to do the groundwork, boots on the ground kind of work.
Absolutely fascinating. How incredible. What I want to do, though, is I want to go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how this book is broken into two parts. Mm-hmm. Also, I know that there's people who are watching online. Please put your questions in. This is a great opportunity. It's a great way to find out more about this. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
Okay, question of the day. What do UFOs, ghosts, breathwork, and psychedelics have in common? Find out at the Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through 3rd in Wisconsin, the Midwest premier event all about consciousness, life's mysteries, and all the stuff that blows your mind. 4 stages alive at the same time with world-class experts and tons of hands-on experiences. Hosted by Jimmy Church, you'll be doing UFO Skywatches with Chris Bledsoe, workshops with Dr. Diane Hennessy, Lidu and Dahlia from the Telepathy Tapes, a group quantum hypnosis by Sarah Bressman Cosme. You'll learn telekinesis, telepathy, dowsing rods, plus God helmet experiences, a real live seance, and live performances galore. Whether you're brand new to this world or knee-deep in the rabbit hole, this is the place to explore the unseen, the unexplained, and the undeniable at the Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through 3rd. Curious? Learn more at contactmodalitiesxpo.com.
Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville. Greg Bakun here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are, but now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then, climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis' haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. Greg Bakun here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursion to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. And we are just over a month away from the Contact Modality Expo that Mel was talking about in the break there. You really want to check this out. This is in southern Wisconsin, but that's not that far away. And there are a lot of great people that are going to be there doing speaking. And we're going to have a couple of them on the show in the next couple of weeks, talking about what they do, but also give more information on this expo. It's going to be huge, and there's going to be a lot of different things going on there. And I do suggest you all go check out contactmodalitiesxpo.com. You're going to find out all your information there. This is going to be a great time, and you're going to meet a lot of like-minded people there as well. So once again, it's contactmodalitiesxpo.com, and you're gonna find it very fascinating, I'm sure. And like I said, in a couple of weeks, we're going to have some folks from that convention on talking about what they're doing. What we're doing is we're talking about Secrets of a Starseed, a Galactic Journey in a Human Body, the newest book by Suzanne Worthley. It's available on Amazon, and I would like to ask anyone, if you want to pick this up, if you're going to go through Amazon, please consider going through GhostBoxRadio.com, GhostBox Book Club. There is an Amazon affiliated link there that helps the show. I would greatly appreciate it. This is a good read. Also, go to a local bookstore, and if they don't have it, ask them to order it as well. It's always good to try to keep the local businesses going. And honestly, you're gonna love this book. Suzanne, this book is broken up into 2 parts. The first one, part 1, is the Journey of Awakening, and then part 2, the Secret Vault. what I find very interesting about this, and like I said, I've known you for quite some time now, how personal this is for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. My own mother, who's 92 years old, who follows all of my stuff and, watches my things and reads my stuff. She read this and she literally told me she cried for 2 days because she had no idea. And then my sister read it and she said, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I don't even know who this is. I feel like it's a different sister." And then my brother read it and he's like, "Oh my God, I never knew." And on and on and on, because it's just not anything I talked about. And it's just, it was such a private, completely private journey that I just didn't feel the need to talk about it because, first of all, back then, remember, this wasn't like a thing. The word starseed wasn't even a thing when I was 8,
Right.
and so, even even 10 years ago. I mean, so this wasn't a thing. And to start to talk about it, you really felt like someone was going to stuff you in the rubber room. And as the years progressed and I owned my work, I don't care about that stuff anymore. But it was a very private, very vulnerable, very lonely journey in some regards. And yet I was always very surrounded by love and light and people. It's not that I was depressed. It's just something that I don't know of anybody else that's done what I did. And again, doesn't make me cool or better. It was just a flipping lot of work,
You might be the only one that actually took the mission seriously.
You might be right. Everybody else is over at the bar going, "Wow, let that lady do it."
We'll leave it to her to take care of the mission.
Yeah, seriously. And there were many times where it was so difficult because I would be in this work out into the multiverses, completely out of body, astral traveling with 100% connection to what I was doing. And then to drop back into this human form was the disturbing part. This was the hard part for me. This body and this experience down here was the more difficult part. And so that galactic depression, or that mystical depression is what they call it, it was when I came back, not when I went out. And so I was very backwards in that. It was very tough.
So what you're saying, it's a bummer being human, basically.
For me, it was for my entire life.
But what is it about that made it hard? I mean, was it like the confines of being kind of like almost like two-dimensional in a sense, or was it? I mean, what was it that makes that hard for you?
In a physical form, it was very hard. I felt like I had been given the wrong body parts. My head has hurt my entire life. I write about it in the book every day of my entire 66 years of my life, every day, all night, every night, all day, every day. And no one believes that, but that's part of the work that I do. And so I feel like my head is about this size when my energy head is about this size. So it's been excruciating at times. My physical form just never felt safe. I was always sick. I always had, not sick, but things didn't work right. It didn't feel right. I got really frustrated with being in the earth itself. I got very, very upset and frustrated because I knew that things could work differently. And it's just a lot of frustration, a lot of inner turmoil, a lot of fighting yourself is really what it was. And again, that's why I think a lot of this was private.
I find it very interesting, and it makes a lot of sense to me, the fact that you are what you're basically saying is that you were bound by your human form.
Yes.
And it didn't match what you're capable of doing. It's like it's too weak of a vessel for what you need to do.
And that is so ridiculously awful to say about this beautiful human design form that we walk around in, which is a miracle every single day. But I didn't see it like that for many, only until about 5-6 years ago did I start to appreciate my body differently, because it was time to actually wind down the work and appreciate now what's the next step of being human. And I literally had to force myself to work with my human form in a more gracious and kind way, but it took a lot of work, and it still does. I feel much more comfortable when I'm gigantic and flying out of my body and traversing grids and seeing light forms and working in geometrics. That's where I'm happy. And I came back here and it was frustrating, and it was dense, and it was heavy, and it was angry, and it was dark, and it was, a lot of that kind of thing was frustrating for me. So yeah, I mean, it's like flying free bird and then coming back in, now you're back in your little cage. So.
When you're outside of your body doing the other work, how much do emotions play in that? I mean, are they there? Are they very different, or
not much for emotion? It's very telepathic. It's very knowing. It's all instantaneous. It's gorgeous beauty and wonder, but it isn't emotion like we have. And then I would get crammed back into this, and then I would have to deal with human emotion, and that was very difficult. So yeah.
And this would be probably. And yeah, I'm not having to go at the human race as well. I mean, this is all I've known. But this is probably the weakest form than you've probably ever been as a being a human.
Well, and I hate to call it weak because we're tremendously resilient. We're fascinating. We really, but my perception was weak. Yeah, I will admit that. And then I was ashamed. Then I felt shameful that I felt so disconnected from something that's such a beautiful gift from source. And so I went through a lot of that stuff. It was very difficult. And sometimes it really still is, it's hard. It's hard being a human for anybody, right?
I've been saying that for years. I have a t-shirt that says it. So yeah.
And it's the psychic skills are so much easier. Telepathy is easier. Why do I have to use my mouth? Why can't you just hear me? I already know what you're thinking. And, you're usually right. And that's not arrogance. And, it isn't arrogance. It's just that your psychic skills are tapped in. And so you get yourself in a lot of trouble when you're a starseed, because again, people think that you're crass, blunt, arrogant, don't care, all that stuff. And it's like, no, it's just, this is silliness. We have so much bigger things to do on this planet, that kind of a thing.
Well, and that's what I found very interesting, and why I brought up like that this was such a personal, intimate sort of read about you for Secrets of a Starseed, a Galactic Journey, and a Human Body, because, like I said, I've known you a long time, and that during that time I wouldn't use the word blunt, but I mean you always would say what's on your mind, and you and I actually really appreciate that, because not enough people do that. But for that it kind of also reveals then this side that, as you said, not everyone knew. And I'm actually surprised when you said your sister. Were you talking Lisa, that didn't know any of that? No, I didn't think she knew then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
My oldest sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's I mean, and that's really something. And that's such a, I'm going to just say, I think that's very endearing, quite frankly, knowing you for so long, and knowing that, because people who are very forthright, you kind of feel like nothing's impossible for them, or that everything is easier in a sense because they don't care. But to be able to say, I'm going to do this. And like you said, I was like, I'm at a point that I don't care, but you still do, don't you? To a certain degree.
I think the caring part is one of the most difficult things for the starseed. Your level of empathy, compassion, and caring is so gigantic because what you've lived through. I mean, one of the stories that I tell is remembering stepping off of a spaceship as a completely different being on a different planetary system, and being greeted by a whole army of little blue people that said, "Welcome home, General." And I said, "Thank you." And I knew for every ounce of me that I was that general, and looking out at the complete 100% destruction of this planetary system that we were quote unquote responsible for. And to wake up being a hockey mom in White Bear Lake with 4 kids that went to work was really hard to reconcile that in my head, when every ounce of my body felt responsible for horror or destruction or planetary annihilation, or just really crazy stuff that I went through. And that was really hard to get your head around, much less your emotions. So your compassion and your caring for this planet is so big. And it isn't that I love the trees and I love the animals, but it's the infrastructure of this planet. It's the actual structural hologram that I know needs help. And that's what I work on. And people don't even know that's a thing. So again, you're feeling very left out, I mean, it's not like you sit around and have a couple drinks and talk about the holographic structure,
No.
Well, I do.
Well, I mean, yeah, you do. And that's okay. But I mean, and I think about that too. I mean, there has to be something, and I presume that this is part of the work that you do for others, like if you come across other star seeds and stuff, the idea of do you work with anybody to kind of help them through what you just described of like, you have this incredible, thing that's happening, and you wake up and it's time to make the donuts. I mean,
Yep.
that has to be really emotionally hard for a lot of people. You said it for yourself.
And I do it every day, Greg. I have multitudes of people come in here that have a feeling that they may be different. And when they finally can glom onto this concept of, oh, I'm a starseed and I'm here on a quote unquote mission. Most people's mission are in places of the second dimension when they're on this planet, meaning the plant and animal kingdom, activating the plants and the animals and working with the humans and working with, oneness and compassion and empathy. That's where the majority of star seeds do work. And like I said, only I think one of the originals, I told my daughter I needed an OG in front of my name of a starseed because I think we're the original ones that came in for the infrastructure, for the holographic grid patterns. Most people don't work in those. And so I'm constantly assisting and activating people right now for second dimensional work. You're here to do this. This is how you do this. And I give them literally skill sets to open up their skills to work that dimensional field so that it's activated. So we're activating them and activating the planet. So that is what I do for my job. The book that I wrote is my soul work. My job is activating others. And so, I continue to do it every day.
This is going to probably be an impossible question to answer, maybe not. What does work look like? Because you talk about people that you are activating, and work isn't like you all are like suddenly feeling you're somewhere else and you're all working together on something. Is it I think people would be interested to know what work would look like for you.
My work that I did looks very different than most people's work. And I did my best to explain what that looked like in the book. And I worked very, very hard on those chapters. And I wrote and I rewrote and I wrote and I rewrote so that people can understand what sacred geometry is and what that works into sound and light frequencies and what the grids are. And I worked really diligently on that. And I think I did a pretty darn close job to saying what that work looks like. When I work with somebody to activate them, or they activate themselves with my assistance, I need to really point that out, really. They allow themselves to connect the dots, first of all, and it's a consciousness connection. And as I teach and as I draw pictures and as I explain, they start to do this like firing inside of their brain pattern. Mm-hmm. You can see them, and it's that awareness, and they're connecting the dots, and they're like, oh my God, I've always known this. Oh my God. And then they cry. The girl today, cry. I know this, I've always known this. What am I? Wow. And so it's through that process of teaching, talking. And then they move to the healing bed. And then I do the actual work to connect them to their higher frequencies so that they can actually do the work a little bit cleaner and clearer. So that's what that work looks like. Does that answer your question kind of?
It's a start. Yes. And I mean, once again, folks, you got to get the book to kind of really see, get into a little bit more. My question though comes, you were activated, you were told about the mission. I think what you said when you were 6 or whatever. The girl that came in, say today, and I don't know her age, but probably like 30s or something.
Yep. 40. Yep.
Is that designed like in a sense that it kind of happens at the time that she is needed, and that she was able to find you or somebody at the right time then to be activated?
In my opinion, again, and I can only do what I know, mine was, first of all, they're predetermined your soul contract. A starseed is absolutely a soul contract, okay? And you are committed and connected to this work. The activation will go according to whatever the mission is. My mission activation came, I was very well aware at 6, and then again at 8, and then again in my teens, and the activation download came in my 30s. That's because that's when the shift started to happen in the matrix, and in the actual hologram work was needed. The people that are getting activated now are second tier, second team, second wave, all the words you want to use, who cares? They're the ones that are doing the work, that are carrying on the work that the infrastructure can now hold, because we change the planetary frequencies so that more information can come and go. So her or his activation will come at a later time per whatever their contract is, in alignment with the contract of the planet's ascension process as well. So it's like a big clock that clicks together and everybody fits their pieces in at the right time.
That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible.
And they're not just women. I have a gentleman that I'm working with who's freaking amazing. And he's a fairly new client for me. I've worked with him about 3 times. And he literally texted me a text about this long. You know how long that is on your phone, right? And I'm like, holy bananas. And, oh my God, I'm X amount through your book and I'm, just bawling because this is my life. And I can't believe someone else knows. And just this recognition of that you're not crazy is part of the reason why I wrote the book. There's people out there that are starting to come into these spaces and places, and there's nothing in mainstream media that's going to talk to you about the Matrix. There's nothing that's going to talk to you about the second dimensional elementals are your job. It's just not going to happen. And you will be drawn to the right people and or healer and or activator when the time is right. You need to trust in that, I think. That's
incredible. Absolutely incredible. We're taking a break here, but once again, folks, the book is called Secrets of a Starseed, A Galactic Journey in a Human Body. Folks, you definitely want to check this out while I'm battling the music of all things tonight. My goodness. Folks, we're going to have more to talk about. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. This is what it's about because this is incredible. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
Okay, question of the day. What do UFOs, ghosts, breathwork, and psychedelics have in common? Find out at the Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through 3rd in Wisconsin, the Midwest premier event all about consciousness, life's mysteries, and all the stuff that blows your mind. 4 stages alive at the same time with world-class experts and tons of hands-on experiences. Hosted by Jimmy Church, you'll be doing UFO Skywatches with Chris Bledsoe, workshops with Dr. Diane Hennessy, Lidu and Dahlia from the Telepathy Tapes, a group quantum hypnosis by Sarah Bressman Cosme. You'll learn telekinesis, telepathy, dowsing rods, plus God helmet experiences, a real live seance, and live performances galore. Whether you're brand new to this world or knee-deep in the rabbit hole, this is the place to explore the unseen, the unexplained, and the undeniable at the Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through 3rd. Curious? Learn more at contactmodalitiesexpo.com.
Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville. Greg Bakun here. I've been talking for a while about how spooky, fun, and fascinating the Minneapolis trolley tours are, but now there's big news. The Candlelight Ghost Tours now begin at the historic Pillsbury Club, a beautifully restored haunted mansion once owned by Charles Pillsbury himself. Believe it or not, the interior is nearly 200 years older than the exterior. How is that possible? You'll have to come out and find out. Before or after your tour, stop by the on-site market featuring a curated collection of handmade goods, artisan crafts, and locally inspired treasures. Perfect for picking up a keepsake to remember your haunting adventure. You'll also find exclusive spooky merchandise from Tales of the Crypt and Elvira. Then, climb aboard the climate-controlled trolley as we travel through Minneapolis' haunted hotspots, uncovering ghost stories that locals would rather keep buried. The mansion is restored to perfection, and there is no better way to spend an evening. Visit MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for tickets and more information. Greg Bakun here. It's nice to get out of the Twin Cities and take some travel excursions to some great locations. Minnesota has so much to offer, which is why I love traveling down to Wabasha and staying at the historic Anderson House Hotel. Opened in 1856, this beautiful hotel offers comfortable accommodations, has a delicious restaurant, and even a speakeasy in the basement to unwind with a drink. Located next to the Mississippi River and on Main Street, there is a lot of sightseeing and shopping to do too. To get more information, go to theandersonhousehotel.com. And join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. It's just going to be me. And I actually don't have a topic in mind yet, what I'm going to be talking about. So if there's something you want to explore, talk about, whatever tomorrow, let me know and we'll talk about it, because I just sometimes just like to do the show by myself, but I don't have a topic in place. So please send me a note. You can put something on Facebook. You put something here. You can send me a note at comment@ghostboxradio.com. Just let me know. Happy to talk about whatever's on anyone's mind. Our guest tonight is author Suzanne Worthley, also energy practitioner. And she wrote the book, Secrets of a Starseed, A Galactic Journey in a Human Body. We've been talking about that the whole show, not even scratching the surface. I do want to say, once again, if you are wanting to get this book, and you should, please consider going to my site, ghostboxradio.com, Ghostbox Book Club. There you can get the book using the Amazon affiliated link that helps the show. Otherwise, get it wherever you can. It's also at Barnes & Noble. You can reach out to a local bookstore and see if they could order it in if they don't have it. You're going to, there's probably going to be some stuff that's going to resonate, I think, with people for sure. This is really pretty incredible. I also want to say real fast, and I think this is still your website, go to sworthley.com.
Thank you.
Check out what is going on with Suzanne, and this would be a good place to go to if people are either listening tonight or they eventually read your book and they're like, you know what, I want to talk about this with you, because there might be something with them as well, right?
And I encourage people to just I have some people just that are confused, and we do our best to talk about it on our podcast. I do one every Wednesday with my friend Kim, and we are talking about the book this week as well. And just ask questions or shoot an email or something like that. The whole point was for people maybe just does not feel like they're, like I said, alone. I felt so alone. I felt so navigating this all by myself, and that's not the case anymore, because there's so much Starseed stuff out there. But I am going to say, now this is when I do that brash thing or crass thing, there's a lot of garbage on the internet right now as far as starseeds. There's a lot of people claiming that I'm a starseed, and they'll say things like, oh, I'm sitting in my kitchen having pizza with the Galactic Federation, and it just blows my mind, because I've been doing this 20 years and I've never had the Galactic Federation eating pizza in my kitchen. Maybe I've been off planet in a spaceship doing pizza, but it's not, they make it sound easy. And I think that is really a disservice to people that are really struggling with this concept and this idea, because it doesn't really work that way. But maybe it does. Maybe I'm the weirdo. I don't know. But I think that there's a lot of people out there that make starseeds sound very just like, oh, it's hard. It's a hard job to be a starseed. It's not all that fun, but it's important.
I find that to be an ongoing theme in like with paranormal and stuff. Like my favorite is people saying that they're like demonologists.
Yeah.
And
we talk about this a lot when we're together. They're always like, blah, blah, and they're, on their website. Yeah. Yeah,
no. And it's like, and I don't have to be a demonologist to tell when someone's not a demonologist. And so I think to your point, you have to do the research a little bit if you feel like you are, connected in some way, and making sure you're talking to the right people and stuff. Now, the podcast is called Energy Unleashed, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Every Wednesday. Yep.
Every Wednesday. Okay. All
right.
We
talk a lot about empathing and a lot about energy. I talk a lot about my client work, but I think it's important also. We do talk quite a bit about starseeds, and it's there for asking questions. It's there for answering questions. I teach a lot about this stuff in my own membership of Vibe Tribe, etc. But starseed stuff is a huge subject, and not everybody does the same work when they're a starseed. Not everybody has the same experiences. And I'm not writing this book to say, oh, I'm the one that did it right. This is just my story. And I just threw it out there. It was really cathartic for me, actually. It was very healing for me to just go, okay, this is a part of my life that I stepped into, and now I'm done. And to tell you the truth, that's been a little difficult, because now it's like, wow, I didn't get a watch. I didn't get it.
So your mission's done?
Yeah. The end of the book says, it shows how I wound it down and that it was done and how difficult it is to all of a sudden be my age. And I still do work. I mean, it's not that your mission on being on this planet is ever done, but the technical mission that I signed up for is done. And I say in there, it's kind of weird because it's not like somebody steps up and goes, hey, here's your,
Yeah, here's your service. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. How ungrateful. No,
well, I mean, it sounds so petty and human, but I mean, that's how we are. I mean, you got to give me a break. I'm still a human too. It's like, geez Louise.
Well, so. and that's just it. And we don't have a lot of time left. And I'm going to probably ask you a very unnecessarily complex question. We have about 6 minutes left. But, one of the things that, it just strikes me is that, and you've talked about it a couple times, that this work is happening. Really nobody knows it's happening behind the scenes, but it's important work. And you use the term holographic grid.
Yep.
What is that?
Well, here's how I explain it. And I would love to, if it ever does come to fruition, do another one where I actually do use what we call whiteboard and explain it, because it's very technical, but it's very easy to explain in kind of metaphor. What I do for my group is I explain the holographic universe like a Jenga game. When originally Source made our so-called Universe 12 that we're in, it's sort of like put together like a Jenga game, very stable at the beginning. But then as time went by, the pieces started to get poked out, right? And Dark Agenda started to make a wobble in it. And Dark Agenda started to insert things that weren't supposed to be there, et cetera. And the whole hologram wobbled and was very unsafe for us and got basically hijacked. And so it's basically the galactic history is what this teaches everybody eventually, is what happened to our planetary system in Universe 12 in our galactic history. So it's a big, big mission that we reset and took all of the wobble out and restructured the Jenga game. So the Jenga game is equivalent to how you can see your reality through your perspective and your lens in a stable way or not. And we're seeing how unstable it is right now because everything's starting to fall apart that was false and illusionary. So it has to do exactly with what people are struggling with right now.
How interesting. And I have more about that, but I don't know if we're going to get to it tonight. In the comments, Andra says, I think Starseed is a new concept in general for me, and I need to learn more about it to fully understand. I'll be looking for your book.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I do really try hard, Andra, to say what a starseed is, let you understand how it feels to be one, because I've worked with many, including myself, obviously. And so I do really stress in the book what that means, and I hope that helps.
I'm trying to figure out a way to ask this in a way that makes sense, because in my head it makes sense, but it may not come out this way, because it's, once again, it's like what Andra says, it's just a big, a lot of concept here. But as you said, kind of removing the wobble in our reality, is that something that is kind of then, it affects us clearly, but is that like the affecting of like the turn, like how, like, just for example, the world seems to be fighting each other at the moment. Yes. Is that, am I on the right?
It has to do with everything. It has to do with the physical world, the emotional world, mental and spiritual world. It has to do with the wobble. It has to do with the pole shifts. It has to do with consciousness itself and how we perceive reality. It has to do with everything. So yeah, this is a big deal. And the hard part is no one understands there's a galactic history. No one even knows that.
How does it get? Oh, you mentioned it, Dark Agenda.
Yep.
And Dark Agenda. I've not heard that before, but Dark Agenda doesn't sound like a good thing.
Nope.
So that's and does that exist to say it very simply, put the wobble back in, so to speak?
The wobble is to keep us in an enslaved situation, and now that the wobble is being fixed by Starseed grid workers, we are waking up to the consciousness that we've been in a simulated game of consciousness enslavement. And now we're starting to go, oh no, not at all. And like I said, this is big stuff. And the more that you ever want to break it down, I'm more than willing. But I'm just going to scan over here. This is kind of how I teach my people. There's the Jenga and how it relates. And that's just a little teeny piece of like how I do it on a whiteboard to help your conceptual mind go, oh, that's what you're talking about. Because like who on World News Tonight talks about your holographic grids. Nobody,
No.
it's not normal.
Walter Cronkite never really mentioned that.
Neither does that guy on ABC. What's his name? David Muir.
Well, and so presumably the more you try to fix that wobble per se, the more the dark agenda wants to intensify it.
Oh, it's fighting back right now. You're at the 11th hour, and this is a huge, big battle of light and dark, good and evil, all those words you want to use just because. But yeah, we are definitely seeing the process of something on this planet that's never been done before, ever been done before in the human race, where we reclaim our sovereignty. It's pretty amazing. So again, the starseeds and the empaths have been placed here in human form to do that work on behalf of the all. And that's a really big job, and it's a big agenda. So
that's why you were born 66 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I knew it when I was 6. Yeah.
Yeah. Incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. And the thing is, I mean, how do you, and we have about a minute and a half left. How do you like, there's going to be people who are like, oh, come on. How do you deal with that? I mean, what do you, I mean, do you just say, just don't worry about it?
I had a horrendous interview years ago with one of my other books. I think it might have been my even first book. I don't know, where this man just shredded me on his live radio show and tried desperately to get me to fight. And I'm like, I'm not going to fight with you because you get to think what you get to think, and I get to think what I get to think. He had said something about being more galactic or alien, and he said that's a bunch of crap. And he fought with me, and I wouldn't play because the bottom line is your truth is yours, mine is mine. I know what I'm doing here, and you know what you think, you know what you're doing here, and it doesn't matter. None of it matters. So at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter. I work this way in alignment with what's important for my higher self. That's what matters for me. So.
And that's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Once again, the book is called Secrets of a Starseed, A Galactic Journey in a Human Form. You can get it on Amazon. If you consider going to GhostBox Radio, GhostBox Book Club, Amazon affiliated link, local booksellers as well. We had talked about possibly doing a longer version of GhostBox with Suzanne at some point. That would be fun, Suzanne. It'd also be educational as well.
Yeah, and the second part is all the stories. The first part is the journey, and the second part is insane stories of a dozen of them of crazy things, and those would be kind of fun to pick apart.
Absolutely, especially as you talk about Peru as well. We have to go, but Suzanne, thank you very much.
Good to see you. Stay healthy.
You too. We'll be back tomorrow. Everyone, have a good night.
Thanks.